Living in America as a black person, you recognize there is one set of laws for you and one set of laws for those, especially in the white community. In our book, Passive Aggressive Racism in the System of White Supremacy, I take you through times in my life when I first started noticing white supremacy. We teach you how to recognize it, identify it, and also counter it in our book. This book is a beginner's course for those that are just starting to wake up and open their eyes to see the system of white supremacy. As a black American person, you must understand this system because this system is life or death to you. How you handle it, how you deal with it, it can affect your mental health if you don't understand this system. Pick up our book, Passive Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy, today on Amazon. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're here with our sister, Davina. Now, Davina is a journalist, here in South Africa, but she definitely could tell her story. So, Davina, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Davina, just tell people just a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Sure. My name is Davina. Actually, Davina is my middle name. And I started using it because I'm born and raised in Zimbabwe, and then I went to college in the States. And then I got to the States, and my first name is actually Tarongerwa. And nobody could say it. My professors couldn't say it. Work couldn't say it. Immigration couldn't say my name, And so I switched to my middle name. And that's how I started using Davina as more of my name. And I've used it my entire adult life. I went to college in the States, and then I moved to Canada after college. And I stayed in Canada for close to 17 years. Mm-hmm. And then I moved back here about 2-3 years ago. So being back here in South Africa. And when I actually moved back here, I was like, I'm going to use my name again. Like, this is it. This is who I am. I've used Davina for so long. Not that it's not my name, but Tarongerwa, my first name, means the Lord has planned this. And I just think it holds so much depth to it, right? But when I came back here and I was looking for a job, I'm introducing myself, I'm sending out my resume with my first name on it. People are calling me, can we speak to Tarongerwa? I would blank. I would be like, who is that? Mm-hmm. Oh, is that me? But that name doesn't have a professional ego to it, right? The people who call me Tarongerwa are my family, people who are really close to me. Like, it's such a dear name for me. It's all the near and dear people to me that call me that. So when I'm Taro, I sit back, But when I'm Davina, I perk up and my brain starts working and I'm at work. So I'm Davina. Yeah.
Okay, so I know exactly what you're talking about because, for me personally, I don't like too many people calling me that I don't know, like Phil, or they say, hey, Phillip. Like that. Yeah. But my family will call me Phil.
Right.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So what made you go into journalism?
So I'm actually a talk show co-host right now in the media space here in South Africa. I went to school for finance. I hated it. I worked in finance for a little bit, and then I went into IT as a project manager, and then I became a Scrum Master. But I've always been a little bit dramatic, a little bit over the top, a little bit, this. So when I moved here, one of her name is Anele Mdoda. She's major media personality here in South Africa. She's amazing, and I'm honored to call her my friend now. She put out something on her Instagram. I follow this girl on Instagram, audition for this guy's talk show, Pan-African, do you talk too much to your friends list? So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot my shot. And I recorded a video, sent it through to them, and that's how I ended up in this space. From what I've learned, it's like over 600 people auditioned, and I'm one of them. So obviously I've got something, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how I ended up in this space, was I literally took a chance on myself one day. I'm gonna say God put it in my laps, and Angel was just like, listen, how many things do you really miss on Instagram? You know what I mean? You miss so many things, but for that one thing for me to not miss it, and then for my head to also not just scroll, move on, to be like, hey, I should do this. And so for me, it was very much spiritual and God-led, and this is where you need to be. One of the things one of the discussions I had with God before I moved from North America back here was, if I'm going back home, I need to find my purpose. I can't just continue like hopping from job to job and not being happy and they talking to me funny, you know, how we are sometimes. I needed my purpose. I needed God to reveal to me, why did he bring me on this earth? And then he put this right in front of me. And as we go through the talk show, our talk show is, it's more like a helpline, you know. It's like people write into our show with their issues, and the 5 of us sit around the table and we discuss what we can, how we can help you, if we, you know, what we think you should do with your issue. It could be anything. My husband is cheating on me, or I haven't slept in the same bed with my husband for 27 years, or whatever it is that people have issues with. But so we help them, you know, talk through that, putting into consideration our culture. You know, culture plays a big role for a lot of decisions we make here, because as a woman, as a wife, your husband cheats on you, really you shouldn't kick him out of the bedroom, right? Because he's the father of the house. He's, you know, like, why, if you're kicking him, it's a very patriarchal society, right? So don't kick the man out of the house. That's his house. At least he's coming home to you. Those are all considerations that we have to think about when we're giving advice, right? So I see that the purpose, that's my purpose. I'm helping women in Africa realize their power, right? Yes, we respect the man, but he must respect you too. And that for me comes from having lived overseas and experienced a different life, and see that actually you can set boundaries in a relationship. It doesn't always have to be his way or the highway. We come together and we make a decision here, and if my boundaries have been crossed, I can perk up and say that, and I can encourage other women, other girls, that you don't stay with a man that rapes you. That's a no. You don't get, you know, some girls get raped, get pregnant from the rape, and to avoid embarrassment of their family, they're told to marry this man. You have to marry him. That's an embarrassment to us because you're pregnant. I'm serious.
Wait, hold on. You mean to tell me a family would tell their daughter
100%.
to marry a man that would do that to them?
100%.
Oh, hell no.
Because you're defiled?
You couldn't have me on that show. Because I would be like, man, I don't know what's wrong with your family.
Yeah.
I say, I would want to be with that family.
Yeah, 100%.
Listen, I'm not trying to be offensive, but just, oh, no. Matter of fact, the family need to come see him, and he needs to be missing.
100%. And that's a privilege we have. That's a privilege you and I have because we've lived in another world, right? And you know of another world. Other people, they just don't. All they know is the country they live in, maybe even just the city that they live in, and even church here, even religion plays a huge part. A lot of the countries in Africa are religious, but the religion says, you know, don't have your shoulders out at church because the minister is going to feel like you've tempted him. No, minister, sir, if my shoulders are a problem to you, you need Jesus. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's a privilege we have. A lot of women, a lot of girls don't have that privilege because you don't want to tempt the man of God. You know, that's the rule here. We don't tempt the man of God. We wear long skirts. We don't show our shoulders when you're coming to church. Why? Because you would tempt a man. That man needs more than my shoulders to be saved. You know, so that's the power that I think I bring generally to the show, and I think to the continent at large is really where I'm trying to go as well. You know, how do we empower these girls? How do we empower these women to know that they can stand on their own 2 feet? As much as it's a patriarchal society, so many homes are female-led. So we can do this. We can absolutely do this. But we're made to think that we can't, and we're not enough. And unless you're married, my God, if you're not married and you're 38, what an embarrassment to the family.
Let me touch on that, because I'm in America. And the problem we have in America with a lot of our families is, like, let's say back in the 1950s, marriage was very high. You know, today, you know, we have marriage that's very, very low in America. And we need family, you know, more than ever. And one thing that I do appreciate about the continent is that they still believe in a family structure, because I see the difference when you don't have family structure and your community will be destroyed, you know. So a lot of us now see that, I think we need to go back to family. You know, now I don't believe you should be with someone that you don't love, or definitely don't be with someone that rapes you or something like that. Hell no. Hell no. But what I'm saying is, I've seen the injection of feminism in the black community, and feminism was a struggle between the white woman and the white man. That's their problem. When the white woman wanted to get the black woman on the feminism tip, right? It ended up hurting the black family. So I would never want to see feminism coming to the African continent. I believe in equality for men and women. I believe in that. I got daughters, so I want my daughters treated less than just because they're going to grow up to be women, you know. But I just feminism is a bad topic for me. I don't like it. You know?
I think. See, I believe that the reason that I feel like feminism continues to and it's gaining strength, I actually blame men, because I see a lot of lack of leadership. Men are not men anymore. Men are not raised to be men anymore. We're lacking a lot of leadership in these homes, leadership in communities, you know, because of realizing the strength of women. I don't know if that's the case, where you realize that women are strong, so I don't need to do anything. Or is it that because we got into this space where there were a lot of women-led homes for whatever reason, whether it was men went, like for here in South Africa, you know, Johannesburg is actually known as Igoli, you know, the gold, where men came to mine here and left their wives to raise their families while they were looking for money. So a lot of the homes then became women-led, because as much as you're going out to work in Johannesburg and look for money, the family still needs a man. Every day it matters to show up as a husband, show up as a father, show up as a brother, every single day. And because there's that disconnect, then we end up feeling like we have to lead. It's very abnormal for us, I think, as women. We're not made that way, right? But
Correct.
We've had to become that way, because it's me or nothing. It's nothing for these children. It's nothing for this family. You know, yes, he's sending money, but we have the money, but I must now make a decision about which schools the children go to. And that's on me. I must make a decision about whether it's what activities our son gets into. That's got nothing to do with me as a woman. You know, that's why you end up having like boys that don't know how to hunt or be men, because they were raised by their mom, and the mom knows that, listen, we need to cook and we need to get things going. Food has to be put on the table. We must do what we have to do. Who's teaching him to be a man? And who is this woman leaning onto as her man? Who's her strength? Who's her safety? Where does she go to for protection? She protects herself. And that's how feminism rises. Because men, I believe 100% that not all men, but the society in general, men have let us down. And they need to rise us up again. They need to hold us up.
Well, I can only speak about America and not this society. In America, straight, alpha, strong men are attacked and oppressed a lot in America, right? If you are that kind of man, oh, that's toxic masculinity, that's this and that and the third. And we've seen the results of basically single mothers raising, especially the boys. Women can raise a daughter, and even when the dad's not around, that affects the women as well, because when no dad's around, then your daughter can fall prey to, you know, a guy with a silver tongue, you know, or we having sons now who's, because he's been around mama and he been watching you put earrings on and makeup and all that. Now the son wants to copy you, you know, and then you have this, you know, and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing had predicted, you know, even especially in the West, how black male masculinity is attacked, and they want to feminize the black man. Right? So between because at least in the West, they want to push the black woman above the black man and give them jobs and opportunity, but the black man, they don't, and create that unequal balance, at least in the West. I'm not speaking about here. So you have single parent households, you have men kind of in this weird space, and then now a lot of men, because of the rules in America, because like I say, once again, I go back to feminism, where the child support and the alimony. I mean, you've been in the West,
Yeah.
and all the spousal support and all that. A lot of men like, you know what? I'm not trying to get married. I don't want nothing to do with it, you know. But we still having kids though, you know. So then you have a lot of single parent households, which I think will destroy a community. I know it's destroyed a lot of things even in our community,
Right.
and we trying to unravel that. So the men here, I can only, you know, I know they got to work, but I'm like, are they just, what kind of jobs they're doing when they don't come home?
Well, that was in the past, right?
Okay, what about
so
today?
where we are today is men do work mostly. There are a lot of homes where it's the man mostly works and makes the most money and provides for his family. But there's still that leadership of a man, I think, that I just don't see a lot.
Well, what do you define as leadership?
Leadership, and so I'm a Christian. I'm sure you've made this out by now. Leadership for me is when we take it back to even to the Bible, right? Really, the children's spiritual growth is actually supposed to be, I think the Bible says, I don't even remember the verse, but it says something about, as a man, do not be afraid to speak the word over your children and to your children. To me, that's, then even just spiritual leadership is up to him. But who's pushing to go to church? Who's pushing the word on the children? It's mostly the wives. It's mostly the women. If we don't go to church, the husband is not pushing that. That alone speaks volumes, right? Because he went out last night, he's drunk, he's got a hangover, don't bother daddy, you know, because, you know, we don't want to piss him off because he's got to go to work on Monday, or he provides so much for us. If he doesn't want to go to church, that's cool. Let's go to church. Right there. What is he teaching his sons in the house? You only have to do this because your mother says it. But monkey see, monkey do. He's not going to be a spiritual leader for his family. He's just not. He just doesn't know how to.
Mm-hmm. So outside of spirituality, when you say the term leadership, what else outside of that that entails, you say, you letting me down? What is he not doing outside of that? What is he not doing? Or in general, what you describe as leadership.
Yeah.
What else? Give me like 3 or 4 things that you say, doom, boom, boom, boom.
So, and I spoke a little bit too about schools, for example. Like, he goes to work, he comes home, he gives money. And I don't want to say all the homes, but a lot of homes that I know of, this is generally how it goes. The wife comes and says, the kid is ready for school. He says, how much is it? And then he's not been involved in the kind of school that this child is enrolled in. What do you see in our son? What kind of school do we look for? I think that's the leadership. He doesn't have to make the decisions by himself, but surely to have a discussion with surely bring something to the table and say, you know what, I've heard of this school. Our boy can outrun any little boy out there. He must go to a school that's completely, you know, not all sports, but very good in sports, you know, or very good academically. Our boy, he is smart. We cannot let him down. He must go to the best private school in Johannesburg. That's what I think. I've got a list of 3 schools, honey. What do you think? You're leading.
Okay. I understand where you're getting at now. So basically, the leadership that you're describing is basically a man that well, I would say old school, lead his house, right? He provides, but he's also involved with the direction and the vision of the household. Like as you mentioned, school. So he say, okay, yeah, we got, you know, our son, like you say, look into the schools. He said, hey, I saw these schools, hey, but what you think about that? And they come together a decision, but he's more involved with the kids, like to decisions of school. Like in my household, that's how it was. Like, you know, my daughter's going to one school, you know, and he said, you know what, it's not working. We need to start homeschooling. And then my wife, yeah, we need to start doing that, right? So you basically more involved decisions in the day-to-day
of the household. And having a vision. What's your vision for the family?
Yeah, you got to have a vision.
You got to have a vision.
Yeah, I believe
you got to
in
set
that.
some goals. You got to have a vision. But also because it's a patriarchal society, a lot of women don't feel empowered to come up and say, hey, honey, this is the vision for this family. We're just not empowered that way here, right? But if he were to come to you and say, honey, let's talk about the vision. What do you think? Where do you think our family? I think our family should go this way, that way, that way. And she'll say, oh, that sounds great. Or, I heard of this. Of course, we hear things, we know things. We also do research very well. But to be able to have somebody that speaks into that, having a vision for your family, that's huge. Set some goals for the family. Not only like you and yourself and financial, and because I think the society is very high on the man providing financially, and that's fine. But there's more to it. There really is more to it than providing financially, than making sure you go to work. Because you go to work, you come back. I mean, there's a lot of things about culture that I don't personally agree with, But there's some cultures that will take a man's shoes off at the door, sit him down and don't bother daddy anymore. He's coming from work and he puts his feet up and we bring him his food and, we kneel down and wash his hands. Wow. Like
I've seen that with some cultures on the continent. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. I'm just saying I wouldn't feel comfortable with it because like in some cultures, like some women would get on their knee, and I'm like, I say, oh no, you don't do that because I think you only get on your knee to God, right?
Exactly.
Now some guys will think, oh man, that's awesome. Like I wouldn't want that,
Exactly.
No, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's kind of like really how it is in my household. Like me and my wife work very well together, but I do lead. But my wife may say, hey, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And usually when she says she don't know about something, I don't think you should do that. Usually, from my experience, she's been right, but she don't really buck against anything that I say too much unless she thinks something is wrong. But at times she let me do it. She's like, I'm okay, do it. And then I have to come back, yeah, you was right. Like that. So I've learned over the years, just to kind of, we work together on everything. So even financially, when we got together, I said, look, we put the money in one account. We're not doing this my money, your money thing. No, we work together. We're going to do my money and your money. We don't even need to be married, right? Because there's no hiding things here or whatever. So I get what you're saying. I just think it sounds like it's a cultural difference.
It is a cultural difference.
A major cultural difference from, let's say, Black American culture, and this is what Black American men think, versus may say the culture here, or maybe just on the continent, let me say.
Maybe it is a cultural thing, but also is it not time for us to not necessarily amend the culture? You can't do that, but let's move with the times a little bit. Like, let's see what else is out there, because we have women in these homes with MBAs, right? Like, because also education is huge in on this continent. It's massive. Like, children must go to school, and then they go to university, and then they have an MBA, and then they, if possible, their doctorate too, right? Like, you don't stop until you're at least done your MBA. There's so many well-educated women and men on this continent. So let's use that education even in our homes, even as we build our homes, and because that's the future. The future is in the people that we're raising. It's not in your education. The future is in these little people, because they're going to hold this continent up. It's not up to us, right? And there's something you touched on way back when you talked about the homes and there's two things I'm going to say. You touched on the homes back in America and just how the men are feeling like they're being pushed down. I have a solution for you. They must all come here. They must all come to Africa, flood the continent. We have so many beautiful women waiting to be picked up by an American hunk. And then you talked also about now I'm losing my train of thought because I saw American hunk in my brain. You also talked about what it's like in your family and how you lead your family. Now, I'm going to put something on the table for you. Like, are you educating other men? Is it younger men that you're taking up and mentoring in this space? Because it's a good space. It's a good thing. Take men under your wing. Take young men under your wing. Mentor them so that we then become, it starts with one or two. You take two boys, these two boys are going to grow up to be men, and they take two boys each, Before you know, we have a street of proper men. And then before you know it, we have a city. And then it spreads. And that's how it spreads. That's how Christianity spread in the world. That's how Catholics did it,
Oh, I I will go there, but I'm trying not to go there with
Okay,
you.
no, let's not go there.
Because I'm gonna go there real hard about catechism and all of that.
No. I'm born and raised Catholic, by the way, and I'm no more in the Catholic Church.
And I don't even see how.
Yeah.
I don't even see how. Oh Lord, I don't see how. Because those people commission the slave ships to go pick up our people.
Yeah.
And enslave them and put them in all over the world. So yeah, for me, I'm a firm believer when it comes to church. I don't go to nobody's church. I believe in God, love God all day long. I pray. But I see what they do in these churches. What you just told me about, well, you better dress a certain way or you're going to tempt the pastor. The pastor, listen, let me tell you what, I am hardcore about that. A lot of these preachers are just stealing money, pimping women. Why? And you know why a lot of men don't want to go to church? If you really want to know, as men, we can see that. Women can't. So we know a pimp when we see it. Wow. So I'm like, I'm not going over there. And you have women just going to the church house, giving all the money, doing this, and their situation never improves. Why? Because he's not teaching nothing that improves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for us, because we in that, black conscious space, empowerment space, I don't know what they got in y'all church, but if I walk in anybody's church and I see a picture of white Jesus, I'm walking out. That is an idol, and that's not even in the Bible.
Yeah.
The scriptures teach the copper skin, woolly hair. Look like me and you. You know what I'm saying? So it's so much I can go there. But what I'm saying is, if what you don't know, everyone know I'm everybody's uncle. Everybody know that. Like y'all, they were saying the languages here in Malume, right? That's me. I'm everybody's uncle. If you want to know, I will give you some instruction. I tell people, you listen to your uncle, your life may go just a little bit better. So when young brothers want to know something, they reach out, I give them that advice.
That's excellent.
But you got to reach out and say something too, if that's what you want. Because some people tell me I'm too old school. Some people think, no, it has to be 50-50. And I'm like, okay, you half a man? And you need to be 100%. Like, I'm a firm believer of you don't depend on no woman to work. She work because she choose to. Because I'm the type, if you have a baby, I don't want my child in daycare. Because in America, some people will go to work after 2 weeks of having a baby and put them in daycare.
I know.
I would not want my child in no daycare. And then some of these people, you don't know who they are. I told them, if they touch my kid, I'm going to jail. I promise you I'm going to jail. Because I have touching children is just a thing. No. Oh, no. I said, to prevent me from going to jail, I said, let's stay home. Create your own business. Because like when my wife had my latest 8-year-old, well, she's about to be 8, I said, listen, I want you to stay home, but I say, I see you're real good at making cakes. Let's invest until you start doing that business. And that's what she started to do. She started investing, and now she has a thriving business of doing cakes, But I'm all about following your dreams. I'm all about that, right? But the women should be, empowered and have their own thoughts. I believe in that. I believe we can grow together. So I don't believe that the man has to lord over the woman and the woman don't have to lord over the man, or it's this competition or friction in the household. But if a man leads properly, so, even if you're a king, kings still have to listen to their queens too. And the queen got to be on the same program as the king. So in the king's absence, she can continue the kingdom going until he come back. So, that's just kind of how I look at it. Some people may say that's old school, but I just think old school works.
Yeah.
A man being a leader of the house, but you really being a fool of the house. You just, like, for me, okay, let's say I work all day, I come home. If your wife made you, if she made me a meal, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I'm like, shoot, I'm going to take a shower, let me eat me some food or whatever. I don't expect her to be at the door like, oh man, here's your shoes and here's your this, and don't bother your daddy. You ain't seen the kids all day.
Right.
So what you mean don't bother them?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
mean, because kids are like, why can't I talk to my daddy? I ain't seen him all day.
Right.
As soon as I get home, my little girl, hey daddy, guess what? This, and I seen this, and can you buy me this? Like I said, I don't say, oh, I've been gone all day, don't bother me, So yeah, I just think, like you said, get with the times. But I think the younger people is probably the way, like you said, to go. Even in this country, the young people is where it's at.
Yeah.
And they're going to make the changes all over the continent. You know,
Also because we're living in such a global world right now. So
That
which is
too.
why I love social media. It's just opened everybody's eyes to everything else, you know. Like right now, we could showcase the beautiful South Africa and beautiful Joburg and beautiful Africa literally to every corner every corner of the world. You can be guaranteed, like, you could get a TikTok video with someone in Ukraine running away from the war. Be like, man, this place is beautiful. How do I get there? That's amazing. And social media has done that, where it's opened our eyes to outside just our four walls, you know? So you can, and that's what I feel like we should be flooding social media with these kind of positive discussions, positive, you know, even the sounds on TikTok. I've heard some really great ones. Those are the messages, and that's what should be pushing, because it's going to come in someone's laps and they're going to be like, oh my God, I should follow this guy. What is he talking about? Oh my God, that's so cool. Or how does he do that, you know? So I love social media for that, because it's really opened the world's eyes, opened up our eyes, and we can now ask about certain things like, I saw this, can we do that? Do you think it would work? You know, and that for me, social media, yes, it's got its things, you know. Of
course.
It's got its things, but like everything else. But I really love that it's opened our eyes to the world, and that's awesome.
Well, I would say this much about social media. First, the Lord, of course. And then social media is the reason why we even having this conversation. Because prior to social media, I would have never been here.
Right.
You just call it what it is. They have gatekeepers in the media, and most of them are white owned. And then the few black ones you have, they don't want to make, you know, white mommy and white daddy mad not saying anything, so they're gonna play along to get along, right? So that's why I love social media, because we don't have those gatekeepers, you know, that try to keep people, you know, quiet or suppressed, or you can't talk about this particular topic. Like, for instance, you're talking about Africa, basically telling our own story. I have a policy: I do not show slums. Like, for
I love
instance,
that.
because white propaganda has say, oh, look at the poor black people. Oh my God, you should go over there.
With a fly on their lip.
Yeah, fly.
There's always a fly.
And then they come in with an NGO, and then this NGO is finessing, you know, money out of people, out of donors, right? I've been told that many times. Now, I was invited to one slum, but they invited me to show the positive things in there, like Kibera in Kenya. And I did show the positive things that was there, not go there, oh my God, look at them, and certain things we didn't even film, right? But it was showing the people that's, you know, creating, you know, the making the water clean, and the how they generate their power, and all different things that they were showing. They were just how the artists that's in there, beautiful artwork. That's the type of things that we would show. I'm not going to go show, oh, well, let me go to this one part of Soweto, and I'm going to show that part.
Yeah.
Not cover the rest of Soweto, just that one part.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I don't do that, because, like I said, we do need to tell our own stories.
We do, and we have a beautiful story to tell. You know, I really love that, because being somebody that's also lived, you know, in the West, one of the things when we decided to move back here with our family was there was so much shock and horror. Like, why are you moving back to Africa? Are you crazy? Everything you have is here. You guys are doing great. You know, you've bought a house, you've got your kids. What are you doing? This is madness. This is madness. You're gonna suffer. I have never not suffered less in my life. I am not suffering. I can tell you that. Very confidently too. Because we live so well. We're middle family, middle income family, but we're good. Our children are in private school. I would have never been able to do that if I lived overseas still. She would have just gone to the public school down the road, because that's what we do, because I got to drop you off on my way to work. And like, we're busy. We're busy out there, you know? I would have never been able to have a helper. We have a helper in our home. I actually have 2 helpers, might I say. You know, I can afford that here, where I can have somebody help me in the home, help me to clean, help me so I can do other things. She's doing the cleaning, she's doing the laundry. Our house is never a mess. You'll never find a dirty sock on your way out the door. Not since I moved here. Maybe when I lived overseas, maybe, you know, laundry
Well, let me
takes
ask
a
you a
couple of
question
days.
about the West. You live there in the West, right? I know from just being there and just every day being reminded that you're black, right? How was it for you dealing with stress there? Because for me, it's constant stress, and living in the West, especially if you're black, you're going to have some form of mental health condition.
100%.
Due to but how was it for you?
I agree completely with what you said, and part of the reason we moved was because of stress, right? We just had our second baby, and I was like, I just don't see a way out here. Like, for us, it was like we've got no support. All our family is here. What are we doing? Like, can we just go home? But also, that stress you're talking about of, even if you're working and you have a good job, I always felt like I was the token black girl, so you're here for our numbers, don't say none, won't be none, or something so simple as in Canada we had, Canada has free public health, right? It's for everybody, it's free, it's really free, so, but you need a health card. I remember trying to go and get a health card, and we had moved into this new neighborhood, which was, I guess, predominantly white. That's fine, as is everywhere. So what are you going to do, right? We went there to try and get our health cards because you got to give them the new address. And this lady looked and said to me, "When did you land in the country? Where are you from? Are you a citizen? What's your immigration status? Because you can't get..." Like, that has nothing to do with getting a health card. We left, my husband and I walked out of there, we left. We went to another office that was located in, quote unquote, what we would call the ghetto, where all the black people are, Sudanese people and stuff live there. We were in and out in 2.5 minutes. We got our new cards. That's crazy. So can you imagine that stress? Yes, you can imagine it,
Yes, I know.
My husband couldn't go out on a walk by himself after 4 p.m. That's crazy. Babe, you cannot go. And you cannot, please don't wear a hoodie for crying out loud. Like, what are you doing? Unless it's the 3 of us or the 4 of us with the babies, you're pushing a stroller, you're like holding your wife's hand. Yeah, sure, we can mess around and do some funny stuff, but by yourself, you cannot. That's stressful. Not only is it a mental stress, it becomes a physical stress, because what if 5 o'clock is the only time he can go for his daily jog? Then he can't. That's crazy. And to live with that amount of stress, and I think for me is I can compare it, right? I understand that there's a lot of, talk and Johannesburg is not safe and crime rate is high, and, I get that. There's some places where the crime is crime. But to not freak out when my husband is not home at a certain time, to open the gate and take a walk to the park where we live, it's like round the corner with my kids, and not feel threatened. I mean, for me, even coming into Johannesburg, every time I fly into Johannesburg, for some reason, especially coming from Canada, we end up, our flight always goes through Europe and then hit this way. So there's always a lot of Caucasian people on the flight. I have a rule that I'm always the last one out of a flight, especially with kids. Like, we got strollers, like it's busy. Like, why are we even rushing? Let them go. We'll take our stuff and take our time and like just walk there. But I can guarantee you that every time I've landed at OR Tambo, coming from an overseas flight, I'm the last one out of the plane. But somewhere, somehow, some black woman, I always feel like I'm home. A black sister looks at me, sees me. How, see, how, where? And then I skip the line, and then she walks me through, and she's like, "Hey, please, move, please. And she said, "Hey, Chubby, can you, what's this one, Milo?" And it's just like, I'm home. This is my home. Like, I can do I can actually do what I want. I can actually skip the line. And you guys ain't gonna say nothing about it. Because this is home for me. Because you guys are constantly skipping the line on us, even at McDonald's, you know, so let me do what I do here. And so just that, can you imagine just that, knowing that safety, that I'm home. So even to get out of the plane, I take my time. I'm like, kids, let's take a picture. Look at this. Because I know, like, we're home and we're safe. Just that alone, just that picture alone speaks safety to me, speaks less stress to me. It speaks welcome home. And that's and there's less stress. I can guarantee you that. Yeah,
I mean, because every time I come, I'm just like so happy. I don't have no stress. I don't have anything. Now, this is, our first time in Johannesburg, and I've been to Ethiopia and Kenya and things like that. Now it's a little bit more white folks here. That's for sure. But I don't feel that that at least for me, you know, in America, white folks sometimes they can be looking at you certain ways, or you know, they got all the police is white, the judges, everybody just white. Yo, all the advertisement, everybody, it's like no black folks live there. All the advertisements is white people. But when I come here, all the advertisements is black people. I went to the bank, you know, I think Ned Bank. Everybody black in there, you know. I mean, it's just everybody black everywhere.
It's so joyful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, okay, you see yourself, and then you just don't feel that you know. Then people nice, hey, how you doing? And X, Y, Z. It just, you don't have to deal with, you know, with Karen and her crap, you know, that you may have to deal with, or some freaking racist dude, you know, just don't like black people. You know, it just
they're there.
It's we live in a war, literally a war zone daily. You know, in America. And I try to tell my brothers and sisters all the time, say, look, go to the continent to see it yourself one time. If you don't want to be there after that, that's your business. But at least go see it. Because America has done a good job at propagandizing the African continent so well and telling black people, you're going to go over there, something going to happen to you. Or, you know, oh, this is the best you can get. You don't want to be over there, you know. But yet, like you said, when you come in here, full of white folk. Going lay up on the beach somewhere in Cape Town, or like when I think when we went to Kenya, one of my subscribers say, Phil, look outside in Mombasa. They laid up, but see, back in America, they will tell you, if you don't like it here, go back to Africa. Well, hell,
I'll go back.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem going back. When I get there, you there too. Like, we can't go nowhere where you don't follow. I'm saying, you know, why you know what I'm saying? That's what just frustrates me. Say, can't we go one place that you don't go? Like, seriously, you know, like can we just kind of deprocess from you just a little bit? I think we need 1,000 years just to kind of be away from each other, you know, just for 1,000 years, and then let us heal from all the trauma that you inflicted, and then after that we can have a conversation, right. You know. But people think I'm kind of
I'm with you. I'm with you, and I think exactly what you're saying. Like I said, I'm from Zimbabwe, right? You've heard so many bad things about Zimbabwe. It is not. Do not invest in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is in the pits, which it is. You know, economically, we're not doing so great. Wait.
I was gonna agree with you on something.
Okay.
The only reason Zimbabwe is where it's at is because of those sanctions from the U.S. and the EU. They purposely did that because the great Robert Mugabe decided to give the land back. These are 4,000 white people, because I researched it. 4,000 white people that he said, no, the land belongs to Zimbabwe citizens. And they sanctioned Zimbabwe for 4,000 white folks. If that is so evil to me.
And what have they done to us? But I was going to say, if you today get on a plane to Zimbabwe, there's flights to Zimbabwe, I think it's every day, there's at least, I don't know, maybe 10 if I'm being conservative here. Every flight to Zim, 3/4 of those people are white. Where are they going? Where are they going? If it's so bad, where are you going? Stay put. Stay where it's safe. You know, stay where you can make money. Even to this day, where things have gone so bad and whatever, they still trying to be there. Why? Leave us alone. Don't worry. We'll be okay. Let us fix our own problems then that we've created, right? So for me, I just think exactly like what you're saying, like they know the good of Africa. They know that we've got the richest soil in the world here. Whether it's farming, whether it's mining, like this has got the richest soil. Like where in America in your backyard, I mean, you should see my backyard. We have all sorts of vegetables and like growing out of there. I'll never buy a tomato in my life. And it's just like my random gardening with my nails, which isn't so great, right? That speaks to how rich the soil is. It's not me. They know that. That's why they are here. And that's why they're not leaving. I will leave before they leave. I can guarantee you that. If they're here and they've tasted it. And that's why it's so important to encourage black people overseas. Come home. Come to Africa. We will love on you so hard, you know. Never mind the fact that you're black, but we can tell you that you're not from here, right? We can tell just your stature or your accent or the way you are. So we're even going to love on you harder. because we're like, oh, they don't know this. They don't know that black people serve in banks, really, you know? They don't know that. They don't know that CEOs in this country, it's black people. Not all of them, but they're coming up. You don't know that you can have your whole legal team, Mpofu and Moyo and black guys, they're fighting for your justice. I mean, really. If black Americans had black people in their legal team fighting for their justice, would the jails really be so full? Would they?
Well, as long as the white supremacists are in control of any country, black people are going to suffer, period. It don't matter if you're in America, the Western world, period. We didn't create this, but they created a relationship where it's a weird relationship because they hate us. It's clearly they hate us, but they can't stay away from us. And that's a question I never can get answered from one of them. If we are so bad, right? If you just don't like black people, it's always a problem with black folk. Why do you always come around? Like, we can go in this corner and say, okay, cool, you don't want us over there? Cool, we're gonna go over here. And here you come. Yeah. One or two of y'all showing up and then you look like, what's going on? Well, I'm not like them. I mean, I agree with y'all.
I have some black friends.
Yeah, I got some black friends. I got black people in my family. Just like if there was a mass exodus of black people out the West, like say, you know what, we out, we leaving. Them white folk would be following right behind us. Well, why y'all leaving? I don't know what's going on, but I'm leaving too. You know, I mean, they just, I mean, they can't stay away. I'm like, Europe's over there. Can we be here? You know what I'm saying?
It's cold over there.
But they want to get mad when you say that, but it's the truth. It's like, because I don't want to be around people that don't like me. You know, if you cool with me, I'm cool with you, no matter who you are. You know, you look at the Chinese, they coming down here and happy. They love it, you know, in the African continent, you know. So I believe what it has to be, and which this part of my mission, is to help bring people here, let them get on the soil, and I believe the soil and the people here will do the job. I ain't got to say nothing after that. Continue to highlight, you know, the African continent, talk to people like you who's been on both worlds, you know, and transition. Because most black folks don't know how it feels to have nobody to help in the house. You can't afford that.
No, you can. That's crazy.
No, you know, or maybe somebody even cook, you know, here and there. A private chef. Oh no, unless you rich.
Unless you rich.
Unless you rich, or you working you work to like you're a dog, and then you retire and die. That's really all you can do in America for the most part, instead of living the life that you really want to live. But you know, I definitely can. I probably keep you here about 5 hours talking. So tell people how they can get to you know, maybe the channel you're definitely on, and maybe Instagram.
Sure. The channel is on DSTV channel 173. You can check me out on my Instagram. I'm at authentically_Davina. The show that I'm on is called The Buzz. I'm pretty sure, because it's a new channel, I think we just haven't gotten where we need to get, but I'm pretty sure within the next year we'll probably have hopefully some YouTube links, and you know, you guys can watch it from all over the world, because I also really believe that as much as we speak to Africans in Africa, there are Africans in the diaspora who are really Africans, born and raised like myself, and struggling. Like, because I struggled, especially once I had the kids, because I don't have a point of reference, right? Because you're not from here, you're not from there. So even things like vaccinations, like how many are due when, that's new. Like, I don't know that, you know, like all I know is that to call my mom and my mom says, go to the clinic, they'll tell you, but that's not how it works overseas, right? So even things like that, I think there's a disconnect, especially those who have been born and raised in Africa, moved to out there, they're in the diaspora, and they're just like, they're lost. You know, their husband is acting African, but he can't because we've got to help out with, you know, there is no helper in the house. Meanwhile, that's how he grew up. So that's what he knows. And there's lots of struggles in the African community out there. So I think if we could broadcast our show on something like YouTube even, and just touch many, many other African people's lives, I think that would make a huge difference. And then people can feel like they can connect, because it's all about connection, and feel like you're represented somewhere, you know? So Instagram at Authentically Davina. It's Honey Channel, DSTV 173.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to our Instagram, and if you have DSTV, you know, some of you who watch or in South Africa or many other countries who watch, go check it out, channel 173. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.